having something, maybe a connection, a little music, some reflection and some sharing around something a little deeper than groceries and toilet paper talk. Maybe with something that we really need at this time. I know I do. And so tonight I invite you to think about the deeper layers of our experience together here, and share if you feel that you would like to. Always feel free to pass. Some people will just be listening in, and that's just fine. So participate tonight in whatever level you feel comfortable. But I wanted to start out with a chalice lighting, and I will get up to do that. And I hope you can see the chalice behind me. We mortals stumble forward over uneven ground, each carrying a golden vessel of sacred fire, each in constant peril of falling and spilling it. The fire grows more precious for every mile that's marched. What is this fire? We don't know, but its warmth can comfort those with its glow, and its light can illuminate the darkness. And like stars, go shining for ages and ages after their candles have been blown out. Has anybody been singing at all at home or listening to music? Well, I thought we would give it a go. And so if you will unmute yourselves, we're going to try to sing in harmony. We're going to try to gather our voices, and it really doesn't matter what we sound like. We're going to let that go. I think this might be a familiar hymn to you. It's from the Singing the Journey. And it's called Meditation on Breathing. And so what I'd like to do is just get it started. And as you feel comfortable, join in. And if you are really an awesome singer, please add harmonies. And if you know some of the other parts, please do that as well. But let's get going. The words are, when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. So we go like this. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. One more time. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Thank you. I have never quite heard it in that way before. But it's ever so lovely to hear us sing. And if you haven't been singing or listening to music, I hope that you do more of that in the coming days, because I think that the more we can equip ourselves with the things that feed the soul, the better off we are going to be in so many ways. One of the things I've been doing, I have been reading devotions by Mary Oliver, and interestingly enough, I picked it up just days before things started closing down. One of the things that I've done as a minister, and I know a lot of religious professionals over their lifetime, when they've wanted to be inspired, have gone to the poets. And for me, Mary Oliver has been one of those inspirational poets who speaks to me in so many levels. My connections with the natural world, and just the way her perspective on life. So I wanted to bring one of the readings from Mary Oliver's book, Devotions, tonight. And I'll read it through first, and then we'll sit with that. And I have just some questions for you. But then I want us to read it again from a different perspective. And so Doreen Markson, thank you for offering to be one of our readers. But let me start, and this reflection, I hope is something that's meaningful for you as well. This morning, the redbird's eggs hatched, and already the chicks are chirping for food. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep shouting, more, more. As to anything else, they haven't a single thought. Their eyes haven't opened yet. They know nothing about the sky that's waiting, or the thousands, the millions of trees. They don't even know they have wings. And just like that, like a simple neighborhood event, a miracle is taking place. Doreen, would you go ahead and read that again for us in your voice?
This morning, the redbird's eggs hatched, and already the chicks are chirping for food. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep shouting, more, more. As to anything else, they haven't had a single thought. Their eyes haven't yet opened, and they know nothing about the sky that's waiting, or the thousands, the millions of trees. They don't even know they have wings. And just like that, like a simple neighborhood event, a miracle is taking place.
So I invite you to have just a moment of quiet. If you'd like to just close your eyes and breathe in and just think on this, what you've just heard. So I'd like to invite us back to just this poem is saying to us, and this we just had the equinox, the spring equinox this past week. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Yeah.
I love the idea in this poem, and some of you have already mentioned it, about these everyday miracles. And can't help but think that in any time that there are things coming forth, beauty, truth, wisdom, love, in measured amounts that we would maybe miss if we didn't have the dual piece of fear, anxiety, sense of mortality, that somehow that they become more apparent and maybe move from being mundane to miracle. That's one of the things that this poem speaks to me about. That what's happening around us, it's just a normal course of, the snow's melting and, some things are popping up, but the connections that we can have to life, even as we face hardships and face, this next week or two, we may be faced with losses that we had not and cannot conceive of, and so that piece was important to me about reading this. So, is there somebody else that would like to read this one more time? And I would like you to think about and listen to this piece again, thinking about those baby birds as human beings. It changes the way we hear the poem and it changes the meaning, but it also brings forth another kind of what I think is a kind of a treasure out of this. Is there anybody that has this in front of them or that would like to read, or
I have it on my phone. I can read it. Oh, there it is. Melissa just put it up for us anyway.
Thanks, Carol.
This morning, the redbird's eggs hatched and already the chicks are chirping for food. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep shouting, more, more. As to anything else, they haven't had a single thought. Their eyes haven't yet opened. They know nothing about the sky that's waiting, or the thousands, the millions of trees. They don't even know they have wings. And just like that, like a simple neighborhood event, a miracle is taking place.
Does it change things for you to think about those birds as human beings? Shouting more, more. Not even aware of the sky, not even aware of the trees. One of my questions was whether you have been witnesses to any neighborhood miracles, things that are happening around you. That I know just some of the things that are. My neighbors have eggs, and we've been exchanging gifts via the mailbox. So I took down some sunchokes so that she could plant and have a harvest of sunchoke in the fall, and I got a dozen eggs. So those are just simple things, but I'm not sure that we would have connected like that. And so what are some of the simple neighborhood miracles maybe that you've been witness to or know about from other people that you'd like to share? a little more, maybe a little more tender.
Yes,
With
definitely.
one another. You know, I have parents in Florida who are in their 80s that are thinking about making their way back here and trying to help us think through what's going to be the best course of action. But every time I talk with them, it's a heightened sense of connection. You know, just knowing how important having those conversations right now are, you know. When they, one of the things that I know during the Holocaust and when so much devastation was taking place, I believe it was, maybe it was Viktor Frankl, or a story had come out of that time from one of the philosophers, the Jewish existentialists. And he tells a story about a father who's holding a child, and this father is about to be executed and is actually in front of a mass grave, waiting for the firing squad, but holding this child. And instead of being anxious and fearful, the father holds the child up to the sky and says, look at that, look at that bird, look at the sun, look at the trees. So in that moment, that in that choice of how to use each moment to choose between fear and joy, to choose between terror and connection, I think is a choice that we have before us each day. And the more that we can sink into that, the more tender we can be with one another, the more helpful we can be, not only to our own immune systems, because living in constant fear and constantly engaged in the news updates, the media frenzy, it's not that what we're going through isn't real. It's just that there is another reality that we can connect to. And I think that's my hope for each one of you tonight, and it's something I'm working to do myself, is to actually see this time as a way of becoming more soulful and deeper living, with my inner self, as well as my connections with other people. And that story, while it's, you know, it's extreme, you know, the firing squad, the imminent death, the choice is there for this father to choose beauty, to give a moment of joy. It's such an extreme circumstance. I can't help but think that that isn't our work in ministry for ourselves and for one another right now, to connect that. And when it ties back to me, to Mary Oliver's poem, that being aware, to become more aware of that beauty, to open our eyes, to not be the blind baby birds, just crying out for more, just feeling stressed, but to open to that beauty in spite of it all, in spite of what we may be going through in the next week, next 2 weeks, next month together. And so I wanted to invite us to a time of gratitude. I had wanted to do joys and sorrows with concerns with candles, but I'm afraid my fire alarm might go off in this small space. So what I will do is, as you share, and we will have a time, I'm thinking next week, to maybe talk a little bit more about some things that might really be bothering us. But tonight, in light of this poem, in light of our sharing about miracles, and I'd like to invite you to share gratitude and joy. And so if you would like to do this as you would, briefly state something, I will be placing a little stone from our chalice, and I don't know if you can see this, but I will take one of these and just place it along the edge. I already have some here that I've laid down there, keeping you all in mind. Some of the conversations I've had with people already, and just know that I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that you're willing to trust me enough to share some of your hopes and some of your sorrows and some of your anxiety right now. Thank you for that. Yeah, let this be a sharing time and a lifting up of thankfulness.
I just feel a great deal of gratitude for just having a warm place to sit this out. And I'm thinking of all the people around the world that don't have that privilege.
I feel grateful for the work that I do. I'm a journalist, and I've been doing nothing but writing about this and informing people. And it's I've always enjoyed what I do. I've always felt it was important, but never more important than now. I feel fortunate that I get to do what I've done for my whole life. I love it and really feel like it's making a difference in giving people information. That I can be part of the, if not solution, then at least the understanding.
I have a very small one to share. From our garden last year, I took some seeds from our coneflowers and planted them about a week and a half ago, and they're now sprouting up inside, getting ready to go for later. When it's nice and warm, they'll go outside and in the garden again.
On my usual walking route, one of the people in my neighborhood has a flower garden that apparently will be full of daffodils at some point soon. I was walking by the other day while she was out there tending to them, and I said, "Oh, it looks like you got some sprouts coming up there." She's like, "Yeah, there'll be daffodils soon." So I'm very happy for that.
I'm very grateful to have my son Zach home from college, even though I wish he was at college, because he's a really good cook and cooking great meals. And we're FaceTiming with his brother every day because his brother's laid off. So I haven't talked to my children this much in like 20 years. I don't know. Very strange, but it's nice.
I'm really grateful that I have 4 granddaughters and 2 kids in their 40s, and that they're all healthy. When I read all of the stuff, like what Glenn's writing and other journalists about the children and the ill health, I am very grateful that my family are safe and are staying healthy right now.
I'm hoping that for you all, there's so much that we can't control right now. And I do think, the unknown is terrifying, especially when we have loved ones that are either in some kind of facility for care, or so far away. and not knowing what will unfold. So, I encourage you to find a partner maybe within the congregation to maybe check in, and certainly call me. I'm here. I don't mind listening. I know this can be a very terrifying time. But the one thing I would like to invite you to do is to find that one thing that you can do, whether you're coffee in the morning or tea in the afternoon or a glass of wine.
All three.
Or just
Two glasses of wine.
A bottle of wine.
Yeah.
The thing is that I think that it is going to be incumbent upon us to find ways to calm our soul, during this time. Not only for just an outward benefit of just being able to just maneuver and to function, but truly it's equipping yourself, your immune system. If you are using your energy that you have, worried about what might happen, you are using some vital life energy that can be actually preparing you to hold up well. And so it does matter what we think. It does matter the images that come into our minds, how we talk, what we say, what we take in matters a great deal. And so for whatever you can do this next week to feed that part of you that will offer hope and grounding and celebration, to be able to notice the small miracles and to connect with the gratitude. It doesn't make anything go away that's terrifying. It doesn't make it go away. It just adds some balance to this time so that we're not overcome. So we're not overcome with that terror, because the quality of life that we have together, that we share with one another is so sacred. And I don't want any one of us to give that away to fear. And so whatever you can do, and however you can connect, and please feel that you can call me at any time. I just holding you all very close, and I'm glad to meet everybody face to face tonight. I will be reaching out and making some calls, so you may get a phone call from me. But don't wait for that call. Call me if you'd like to talk. I would really welcome that. And in closing, I would like to repeat our song. In closing, if you'll join once again in the words, when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. And I will be extinguishing our chalice, but may the light of this community stay with you and in our hearts and everything that has been shared tonight. May we carry one another tenderly into the next day, into this next week in the future. So let's join in singing once again. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I can breathe out love. Good night, all. Sleep tight.